All right. For those we were with yesterday, we were able to cover how to add models to our projects and also add data, which you can see here. This data is has been added here dynamically. It's being fetched from the database. So we did quite a number of things. One of them was creating the models, creating a super user, if you can remember. We went ahead to see how the admin dashboard looks like. We also went ahead now to add this data. So today I wanted us to look at a few concepts, which are key concepts in Django. By the way, let me just confirm that you're able to get me clearly, guys, and you're also able to see my screen. Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so I want us to look at a few things today. One of them, there is something we missed out on the template section. By the way, for those who haven't seen this website, this is the course that we are currently taking. It's available on this website, and we basically have a free certification for the purpose of this course. After the training is over, you can proceed and just confirm that you have you have got the training of the various topics, then do an exam, and a certificate will be generated for you to at least showcase your skills. Those who have LinkedIn profiles, you can do the update there. So basically, as you can see, this course is paid for, but there is a coupon code here which you can use when checking out, and it will clear everything. So for those who haven't registered yet and wish to have a certificate, you can just register for this course. Let me just share the the link. So just in case you'd wish to have a certificate and haven't registered yet, you can register the course there. All right, but remember, we don't have content under these topics. Basically, the content is what we are learning online, but for the test is there. All right, so I want us to check something on templates. We already covered a section on templates, but we didn't exhaust. Then I also want us to see how to submit a form, and finally deploy our project online. So with me here, I've already started my development server. By the way, before you start working on your project, there are things that you need to be doing, like the first things first. One of them is you need to launch your virtual environment. Let me show you something. So one is launching your virtual one. You need to navigate to the location of your virtual environment and or the location of your project. After doing that, you activate the virtual environment. After activating the virtual environment, then you proceed to start the development server. And the location under which you run this command is the root directory where you get or rather where manage.py file is located. For instance, if I'm able to see manage.py file under the same location. So in case I was at a template, this command will not run. So please ensure you are in the root directory, then start your development server. So with this, you will be able to access this URL. That is if there are no errors. In case there are errors and this website doesn't come up to show the errors, you can always track the errors in this section. As you can see, some logs are appearing here. So let me just reload this website, then come back. As you can see, we are seeing that some logs are being generated. So if there is an error, for instance, there is an image that is being fetched under assets, image, pic, and all that, and it's not found. So with these logs, you can be able to check on what is happening behind the bus and resolve any error. So this is our website, the website that we have been working on, and I want us to look at something. We previously created a URL. For those who were there on that day, we created a URL that is supposed to take us to the contact page. As you can see, the contact page is not reachable. Why is that? We did not update this URL to match the dynamic URL from Django. So what we need to do, we need to open the index.html file, then locate the contact page, or rather the contact URL. So we have it here, contact.html. So whenever we click on this, it opens, it goes to contact.html, but that is not what we want. What we want, let me show you what we are supposed to do. Under the urls.py, we have this path, contact. So we gave it a name of contact. So this name is the one that we are supposed to use to dynamically point to the contact path. So what we need to do, we need to delete that, then add this tag URL. If you get this snippet, select that. So if you don't get it, you need to type this manually. Once you do that, then enter the name that you defined in the urls.py under the path to contact. So if we were okay, I show you how to render another page so that we can practice on that. So this is how you do it. You add this tag, then in between the name that you defined in the urls.py. Once you do that, save that file. Then let's reload this page. Let us reload this page. All right, sorry. We're also going to correct that so that in case a user clicks on the icon, they are redirected to the home page and not the index.html file as it's showing. So if we hover on, all right, I think we need to update on another contact section. That was one. All right, welcome. So we need to check on on other occurrences where the contact appears. So let us check that out. We also have it here. So what we need to do, we add URL, then we select that, then add our contact, rather the name the name we gave under this section, this one. So we go back, save that, then come back here and reload. So if we click on that, we see that we are being taken to the contact page. At least we are now able to navigate to the contact page. But then I'm sure you note that we have lost the styling on the contact us page. So we need to work on that. So remember how we did in the previously, so as to restore the styling. So we open the contact.html page, file, then we we wrote the static tag, it's there. Then we do an update to all the CSS files and JavaScript files and also images that are being fetched locally. So what we need to do, we need to update this static files. So how do we do that? So we select the name. For instance, this is an image, so we select the reference. This is the path to the image. We cut that, then we add a tag static. We select this one that has been suggested. Once we select, please note what has been added. There is this code snippet that has been added. Then in between these two quotations, paste the path there. Do the same to all static files that are being fetched locally. Remember, we did this in our previous session. Alright, let us save that, then reload, and there we go. At least we have been able to rectify that quickly. So okay, let us correct this one as well. So we want to have if a user clicks on the icon or the logo of the page, they should be redirected to the home page. So let's correct that as well. So in the index.html file, let's search for all the instances where index.html has occurred. So in this, now that we wanted to the server to redirect a user to the home page, we just remove the index.html here in the href, then we add a /. So let us check on all the instances. We also have this. We replace that with a /. Then the good thing with using VS Code, I'm not sure if it's a feature present in other code editors. If, for instance, you have 20 occurrence of index.html file, and you need to update to replace the index.html with a /, you can just search for that index.html, then expand with this. There is this icon here, then replace with that. Then you can easily make an update using this button here. It replace all, and it replaces all occurrences of index.html with a /. So once we do that update, we save, then we reload. All right, this one is yet to update, and that is that is what I want us to cover next. But if we navigate to, all right, let me show you. Let's go back first. So if we are in the home page, all right, welcome. We have already started. So I'm saying if you are in the home page and you click on icon, it redirects you to the same page, and that is what I want us to achieve. Even if we are in the contact us page, I want us to be able to click the logo here and be redirected back to the home page. But another thing, we have logged into, or rather we have navigated to the contact us page. If you click on the contact us page again, it throws an error. Why? Because if you check on these files, they all have a navigation bar defined. So if we are to change something, if we are to change something in the, for instance, I changed index.html and replace that with a /. I'm supposed to do that in all these files that have a navigation bar, which is not supposed to be the case. So there is a way we can adjust our code so that those changes are only made in just one file. So if I adjust that code in the index, it should reflect on all other pages. So let's see how to achieve that. So I want us to be able to click on contacts, then on contact again, and we still remain on contacts, or rather we are directed to whichever page we wish to navigate. And if we wish, for instance, to change the name of home to something different, we just need to do that update in just one file and not all these files. So let's see how to do that. So we are going to work with home, and the way to do that, we need to group these sections. For instance, if we check on the contactors page, we have some things that are common, that is in a contactors page and home. So let us compare the two. So in contacts, we have the navigation bar, and we have an image here separating the navigation bar and the content. So if we check on the home page, we also have the navigation bar, then we have this unique content, then we have the footer. So we can group this content in groups, so that we are able to distribute them and have them share the common code. So for instance, let me check on I'm currently in index.html file. So if you study this code, and this is why we mentioned that for you to be a backend developer, you at least need to appreciate some front-end technologies. We need to identify where the header starts and where it ends, or rather the navigation bar, and it starts here. The good thing is that we have some comments on the code. So the navigation bar starts here. So let's scroll down. It starts there, then ends here. We don't need to do anything on that. Then the content starts here. We have this header all the way down. So what we need to do, we need to group this unique content, the content that is unique to our index.html file. And how do we group that? We use some code snippet called block. So this is how they look like. There is where the block starts and the block ends there. So we need to give it a name. The name is upon you. You can give it any name, and I would suggest that in coding, now that you may be working in a group, you might need to give it a name that is universal, at least a name that makes sense to the other person. So for instance, now that this is the content, like it's the content that is unique to this page, so let's just call it block content, right? So content is just a name. You can give it anything. You can also call it block body. Actually, let's call it body. Block body, that's the body. Then we cut this section. So we want to signify this unique content of index has started there. Then let's scroll down. Let's scroll down. Then I believe it ends here, because the footer is also a unique division on all the pages. So we need to add our block here. Once we do that, let's save. Well, that hasn't changed anything. If we navigate to contact us page, it doesn't change anything. So let's go back and still do some more changes. In contact us page, we need to come here. Then we need to extend. Let me show you something. Extends index.html. So now that we want to use the index.html as the file that defines our block, we need to extend it here. Now that since we decided to use it, it will be extended on all other files that we want to inherit the styling and the other common features such as the navigation bar and the footer. So once we do that, let's scroll down. We have seen that okay, for instance, if we just save, if you just save it at that section, then reload contact, so you see it has replaced all the content of the contact us page with the content of home. I'm sure you are noting that. So that is not what we want to achieve. We want to have the unique content of contact us page. So let's go back to our editor. Then we need to identify where the unique content of contact us page is. So let's scroll down. We can see we have the navigation bar here. Then I believe the content starts here. This is the small section that we saw separating the navigation bar and the content. So basically the unique content of contact us page starts here. So let's have Brock, then we call it Brock body. So this name has to be the same name used to distinguish the body content in the index.html file. So once we give it that name, let's copy the end of the Brock, scroll down when the footer ends. The footer starts here, so basically the body ends there. Then let's save that. Once we save, let's reload, and there we go. We have been able to now to render the content, the unique content of contact us page. So let's see. You see the in the navigation bar, we can now click contact, the contact URL, and still be redirected to contact without being redirected to contact.html. So another thing we need to do is that we need to do some cleanup. Now that the same footer that we have in the body section is the same footer that we have in the contact page, you see the footer here. So this code now becomes useless. The code in the contact.html file, this becomes useless. We can just delete it. The same case with the header. Let's go back to the header section. This code becomes useless. We can just delete that. Then all this styling becomes useless as well. Then this one as well, and basically this one as well. So what we needed to check is that we have some JavaScript code here. We may need to check if whatever code is here is also in our index.html file, but either way we need to remove it from this section. Once we remove that, we navigate to index, then scroll down to the JavaScript section, then paste it here. So the purpose of pasting it here, we just want to confirm that the same code that is in the same code, JavaScript code that was in contact.html is the same code in index. So in case we identify one that is not, that was not here previously, we just need to incorporate that. If we get a duplicate, we delete it. So for instance, let me check. We have assets here. We also have we have custom.js. We have it here. So let us remove this. Then the Ajax, we don't have the Ajax. Then Bootstrap, we don't have that as well. Then the maps, we don't have. So we can keep these three. Now that these have been fetched online, not from our local server, we don't need to do an update on them. But for this particular one, we need to update and add the static tag. Then save. Also save the contact.html. Then refresh. So have you noted that nothing has changed, but at least now the contact.html has become cleaner. So guys, are we getting each other? Is it syncing? Okay, perfect. So I want us to see something else, something different here. there are those people who will be working on besides being backend developers, they'll also have skills in SEO. Let me show you. As long as there are some lines of code that we are deleting from home, rather from contact, there are some that you may not need to delete. For instance, let me show you. So so I want to have, now that I navigated to contact, I want to have like if I hover on this section, I want to have a title by the name either contact us, or at least to guide me that I'm in the contact us page. Similarly, once I navigate to home, I want this title to be unique to the home page. So in that case, I also add a block. So let me do block. So block, let me call it block title. Then let me end it there. So real estate builders, let me call it home. Then save. So for the contact, let me come here, call it block title. Let me cut the end and paste it there. Sorry. Let me save, navigate back, refresh. Oh, sorry, let me just do an update here. Real estate, let me call it contact us. Right, if I do this, I'm in home. You can see home. Then when I navigate to contact, I'm in the contact us page. You can see the title there. So at least you are now seeing that the page is a bit tidy. Then I mentioned about SEO. You also need to, for instance, now that the meta description for contact is unique, you can have them at the title page, or rather the title block, and add the unique content for your contact page. And similarly, do the same to the index.html, but that's for a different topic altogether. That's SEO. It's not part of Django training. So I trust, guys, you have seen how to do that. Now that we have some other pages here, we have about us, we have services, and all other pages, you can take it as part of your practice and see how to render about us not really dynamically, but in a similar way. For instance, if you click on about, takes you to about.html, which is not what we desire. We wanted something like should go to about/about and render the about us content. So guys, would you I believe you got it right. If you got it right, then you can have that as a part of your practice. Anyone who has a question in that section? Anyone? Are we together, guys? Oh, pole sana. All right. So how about the others? Did you get it right? Do you have a question in that section of extending the templates so that they share the common lines of code? All right, I believe you got it right. So what you can do, just do some practice on you can just take about us. You add a path of about us and define a view of the same, then render the about us page, then extend the index to about, then create a block of the about us page. and you'll achieve something like this. All right, so that is what I wanted to touch on when it comes to working with templates. We had missed that very important section. Then the other thing, I want us to see how you can submit a form. Previously, let me show you. So yesterday we covered how to create models, how to make the model appear in the admin interface. This is the admin interface, whereby you can be able to create new project, to delete existing project, and any other privilege that the admin has. So these are the projects that we have at the moment. So I want us to imagine if we wanted clients to update a project on their own. This dashboard is only accessible to the administrator. So we also as part of our training, we want to give our users that privilege of the privilege of adding a new project. So how do we do that? Because what we have here is already defined by Django. We just code this project for it to appear here, but the CRUD operations, the create and all other CRUD operations, they are defined by default. They are just defined by Django. So we want now to give users the ability to contribute to these projects. So we want to see a project that has been added by a user as well. So what we need to do, I added a form. Let me see. I added a form, add project. All right, so I added a path named as add project, and also created a view of that. Let me show you the view. Where the views. So I added another page, named it add project. The template is currently under, or rather the index, the add project HTML file is under templates. So I added that, created this view, and also added the path. So once a user visits add project, they get this form. So what I want us to do, I want us to fetch this data. Basically, I just copied a form online. I copied this form online for the purposes of this training. Remember, we are working with Django backend, but we need to capture a few details of our form. Even if we get a created form, we need to adjust it to suit our needs. So there are some few things that I want us to learn about forms. So forms are basically used to submit data from our website. Even these from the admin interface, this is a form, but it has been created to just do exactly what it does. So now that we created this one, we also need to add the logic that will capture whatever data the client enters here, and then save it to our database. Then on the other end, as admin, we want to be able to see those projects here. So let's discuss about forms. So for the forms, for those who have interacted with the front-end bit, a form is defined in a forms tag. Let me just do a small illustration above here. So the way to define a form, you have a form there, then you cross a form. So this is what denotes a form in HTML. Then in between in between here, the opening and the closing of the form, you now need to add the input fields and any other information that you want your readers to, or your website visitors to get. Then in the form, we need to be aware of two methods of getting, or rather of working with data in Django. So for instance, we call them types of a request. So we visited this page and we got these as the feedback of visiting this URL. So we did a get request. We requested for some information and we actually got that. But now that we got this page, if we want to add some data, then send them to the server, that will be a post request. We will be doing a post request. We are requesting to post some data to the server. Vice versa, we call it get. You get information from the server somewhere. So in these form tags, you need to define the method. You define the method, so the method can either be get or post. But usually in forms, you get that in most cases they use the post method. At a rare circumstance will you find yourself using a get method, but if it exists, then you have to include it there. Then the other tag that you include in a post is action. So the action tells the form what happens when this form is submitted. So do I follow a certain URL, or do I just stay and do whatever it's supposed to be done if there is no URL? So you define the action there. Usually that could be, for instance, now that we are working with Django, if we define a post request, for instance, we define it in contacts, such that we want this form to be processed by contact, and we write the logic here, then we are going to add a URL to this under these in this section, then add contact here. But for this case, that is not what we want, so let's leave it at that. Then there is also something else that you can see here. So this is enough if you are just submitting information such as title, information, status, and the status of completed. But now that you are submitting images, you need to add, remember, our table requires an image to be added. So in this case, you need to add this code snippet here. That is very important to note, because you may not get an error when you try submitting the image, but the image will not be saved. So it's very important to take note of this. So if you are submitting an image or a file, ensure to add this line here. But if you are not submitting any image or any file, then these two are enough, the method and the action. Then another thing, we have the input field here. Well, the type defines the type of data that you want to correct using that field. Then there is this name here. This name is very important, especially when you are not using other methods like Ajax or JavaScript to get that data. As long as the data is being fetched directly from the form to the views, then this name is very important. So this name should be, it's recommended that this name should be the same as the one we defined in the models. So we have title as the name. Then for the next field, the image field, we name it as image. That is what we have here. Then the other one should be info. We have it here, the text area. The other one should be, so remember that we said that immediately you input the data and save, the date will automatically be filled. So we don't need a date field in our form. So that will be taken care. It's something you also need to know, so that you don't end up correcting unnecessary data. Then completed. Now that this takes two values, true or false, the best way to do that is using a radio button or a checkbox. Okay, I think a checkbox will do because it's just one. It's either true or false, so a checkbox works better. Then for the status, here we used a drop down in our models. If we try to add, we have a drop down, so it's also recommended to use a drop down or a radio button. A radio button will also work. Note that radio buttons usually take one value. If you, for instance, this was a radio button, you select level 3, that will be the selected. If you change it to level 2, it unselects level 3 and selects level 2. Alright, then the other important thing is to include a button of type submit, and the button should also be active. So the button is a special element in HTML, because once you click this element inside a form, it triggers the post action, tries to post whatever is in the form. So if the views are well set to receive whatever data is coming from that triggered action, then the data will be captured. Alright, so guys, have you gotten that concept about forms before we now proceed and capture the data? Anyone with a question? Is it syncing? Okay, perfect. So after understanding the few concepts that we have mentioned, we now need to capture the data. We now need to capture this data, the data that is to be sent using this form. Also, let me just mention something. I know it's a Django training, but there is this required field. This ensures that once the button is clicked to submit the data, it first of all checks on those fields that have the required tag to ensure that they have something to be corrected. If for instance the title is required but the user didn't enter anything, the submission will not happen. Actually, you get this highlighting saying that you need to enter some data. Once you fill in that, you are told that you also need to select a file and all that. So this can help you in at least ensuring that no data is or rather no form is submitted without full data. So the next thing that we need to do now, let's come back to this view. This is the view that rendered the form, or rather the page with the form. So for us to correct that data, we need to write these lines of code. So if request dot method is equals to post, then we need to do something. So let's write down the names of the field that we want to correct. The other one is info, the other one is completed, the other one is status. So I'm fetching this from this section: title, image, info. We said that the date is being saved automatically, so we need not to worry about that. Then completed and status. So that is exactly what we have here. So for the title, let me show you. So in VS Code, if the code to be written is the same on all sections, you can hold on Alt, then click the next occurrence, the next occurrence, the next occurrence, the next occurrence. Then we have request dot post. Then we have that. Sorry, I think I made a mistake somewhere. Request dot post. Please note, as I type, all of them are being are receiving whatever I'm typing. So for the title, we want when a user clicks on the submit button, we want to assign to title the data from the input named title. So that's why I said that the naming is also important. We also want to receive an image. We also want to receive info. We also want to receive completed. We also want to receive status. I want us to see something. And for the image, this is a bit different. This takes files. This should take, sorry, I think I missed out on something. That should be files in capital letters. Files. All right. So once that is submitted, let us first of all print. We print title, we print image, we print info, we print completed, and we print status. Let us see. Right, test project. Then we also need to check on that. Then for the info, let's try and copy paste what we have in this site. Just want this section to be uniform. And then this, I submit, reloads. Then let me check. So look at what we have. So this is the title, this is the name of the image, this is the info. The info goes up to this section. I think the info goes up to this section. Then we have, what do we have as the last field? We have status. So please note that status returned a 1. Right? Let me do it again. Test. Let me select another image here. Then I add some info. I'm not going to check this. Then select level 3 there. All right, I think multivariate, something happened. Let me see. Completed. Got an error somewhere. Let me see. I think we got an error somewhere. Let me just check. See. All right. Let me see. Remember to. Let me just reload and see if we are able to test. We need an image. We need some info. I need to leave that as it is. All right. Let me see where this error is occurring. All right. Just a moment. Let me just do some checks. I want to understand why it's returning an error. Alright, I think I'll troubleshoot this behind the scene, and I'll give an update of this. So let us for now skip that and just see what we wanted to achieve. I wouldn't want it to take more time than we expect. So let us see. So I wanted to show you that the data we correct from from this completed field, it returns it as either 0 or 1. That is either true or false. So when it comes to our field, the field that is taking the completed status either takes a true or false. So that being the case, we need to convert this data. We need to convert this data so that we are able to convert it so that we are able to save it to our database. So what we need to do, we need to write an if statement. If we had not mentioned, or if we mentioned when you you had not joined the training session, you need to learn some Python basics. That is where you will learn to be writing loops and other conditions. So in this case, we need to loop, or rather we need to write an if statement to check if completed is a 0 or a 1. So in this case, let me just check if completed is equals to double equals is equals to a 1. Then I need to reassign completed to true, or rather to assign true to completed. So we are changing. So if the value we correct is a true, came as true, but it came as a 1, we need to convert that to true. Else we need to convert completed to false. So that way we are sure that whatever data that we submit to our database will either be a true or false, not a 1 or 0. But better still, in coding, you also need to note that in coding, 1 means a true, 0 means a false, means false. But when saving data to the DB, it should be saved as needed. All right. So once we do that, we need to save this data. We need to save this data, and the way to save the data, we can just write a variable, something like project instance. Let me just name it that. Then the name of our model. We have the model here, the name of our model. Then we add the brackets. Then so our model expects to get a title, so we equate title to this title to the title that we have captured here. Then we also equate the image to the image that we captured here. We also have the info and equate it to the info that we captured. We also have completed, we equate it to completed. We also have status, we equate it to status. So once we capture that, we can talk of project instance dot save. All right. Then once the data is saved successfully, we need to return a redirect. Then we can redirect the user to home or anywhere else. Then this redirect needs to be installed from Django.shortcuts. We need to add it here. So with this line of code, we are going to, it's meant to capture the data, then save it, or rather capture the data, assign it to a variable of our model, then save it. After saving it, redirect to home. Let's save that. Then let's go back. Let's load that field. So title, for the title, let's call it test project. Then for the image, let's select that image. For the info, let's paste that. So for now, let's work with this as checked. Then let's create the task. So it has saved, then redirected us to home. Let's come back here. We see that we had previously 3 projects. Let's reload. We have the 4th project. Then we come back to our admin interface. We reload. We get the 4th project here. So that's how to work with forms. Then another thing I need to mention, as you can see, we lost the sliding images. So usually when you are extending and copying some of the CSS and JavaScript from other files, you need to be cautious because some of them might break your site. So for instance, this was broken by probably some JavaScript that we added down here. So we need to check. We can just comment that, try and see. That shouldn't be the one. Let's comment this, save. All right, so this one is causing the conflict, so we can just disable that. Then we may need to go further and investigate whatever function it was taking in the contact us page. If it's something that is not so significant, then we can let it be. Alternatively, if it is, then we can check on the code that is interfering with whatever we have in the index. But many are the cases that many are the cases that this doesn't happen. But if it does, at least you have a way to work around that. So that's how to deal with forms. So guys, it's already 9. So did you get that right? Can you confidently say that you can now work with forms? All right. You just need to work with a few, and the concept will sink. Okay. Exact. Yes. So exactly. So what happens after the form has been submitted and data has been saved successfully? There are a lot of things that you can do before you redirect. But with Django, I think for you to achieve that, you need to integrate some JavaScript, either some Ajax. Basically, Ajax is JavaScript. You need to capture the response after the form has been submitted, and once the response, that data has been saved successfully, then a message is displayed. Then probably after some few seconds, the user is redirected to any other page. Alternatively, the same message can be displayed on the forms page. Let me see. The same message can be displayed on this form and these fields cleared. So there are many things that you can do once the form has successfully been submitted, Vincent. So for the scope of this training, we are not going to look at that, but it's something that is achievable. So I think I can do that probably behind the scene and give you the codes to achieve that. All right. Anyone else with a question? Anyone else with a question? I want us to take the next less than 10 minutes deploying this project. We want to at least now take our project online. All right. So so far so good. We have been able to learn quite a number of concepts, and here we are. We have a website with a backend integrated. We are able to render these content dynamically. We also worked with rendering the templates, working with static files, also being rather working with these navigation links and all that. So after you give your website the desired backend, you would wish to access this website online or to share it with a colleague. Basically, at the moment when you are using this localhost, you may not be able to give a colleague this URL. So you need to host it somewhere and share the link with your colleague. So let us see what you need to achieve this. So the first thing that you need a hosting service. A hosting service is where you will upload your website files and set up Python. You set up Python application, upload your files. Then on the same hosting service, you need a domain name, either a domain name or an IP address. An IP address is such as we have here. This is an IP, but then there's the localhost IP address. So you need you either need a domain name or an IP address. So in my case, I have a hosting service that I can access here. Then the other thing, I have a subdomain. So you can either have a domain name. You can either have a domain name or a subdomain. So basically, a subdomain is the domain, but rather a subdomain takes a name before a subdomain. So for instance, I have a subdomain that I want us to use here. Let me see if it's usable. All right. So this is the subdomain I want us to use. So the reason it's being called a subdomain, it's part of the main domain, and the main domain is dtechnologies.com. So if you for you to be sure that the hosting service you are purchasing supports hosting of Python applications, you may need to check with your hosting with your hosting provider, because not all packages that will support hosting of Python application. But if you wish to get one that supports Python application, and supporting means it has the interface to build Python applications, and you also have access to terminal. Those are two key requirements that you need to confirm with your hosting provider. So I have some hosting service here that you can get. that will assist you in rather they are able to host Python application, and you also get access to a terminal. So the way to get to the hosting services, just visit this website dtechnologies.com. Under services, we have web hosting and domain registration. Then, depending with your country, you can easily access the hosting packages. And in this case, if you opt to purchase in any package from silver hosting, we have silver hosting, gold hosting, but for silver hosting, you have an assurance of being able to host a Django application and getting access to a terminal, and you are able to host up to 3 domain names, but you need to purchase the domain names as well. So once you procure a hosting service and a domain name, you'll have access to a cPanel. I have one here, and also this subdomain. So the next thing we need to do, we need to package our application ready for deployment. So what we need to do, let's work on this terminal. Let's stop the server. So we need to correct our project dependencies, so that when deploying, we just install them. So how do we achieve that? So there is a command called pip freeze. So this command fetches the dependencies that we are using in this project. Here they are, and for them to be shipped together with the project file, we can copy them in a file that we can name as requirements.txt. You can give it any name, but I see this being a conventional name in most cases. So if you add s, we have a file that has been generated called requirements.txt, containing these packages. So once you do that, navigate to the location of the files. Let's go to coding. Sorry, desktop. Let's go to coding. Let's go to Django. Let's go to Django training, online training. So here we are. So what we need to do after we have copied our project's dependencies, we need to compress all these files. So we create an archive here. So the archive should be in zip format, then create. Once that is done, we need to navigate to our cPanel. So for this case, we are illustrating how you can host a Python or a Django project in a cPanel. So the first thing we need to do, let us check on file manager. We need to access the root folder for this subdomain. That is under, this should be the name. So we want to upload our website files here. So upload, then we select our file, then online tutorial, we have this one, then select. So as the file is okay, I think it has completed. So as it finalizes, let's navigate to this page. Let's search for Python. Sorry, we need to search for Python. Set up Python app. Click on that. It has completed, so you can click on go back to home. So there is the file that we uploaded. Then Okay, in the meantime, we can just extract it. Extract files on the same location. So once the project has, or rather once the Python dashboard has opened, we need to create a new application. Let's create that. We need to, let me show you. Let's copy this. Right. So for the version, there are some few things that you need to set up here. So for the version, select the latest, but in most cases the latest has some bugs, so you may need to go one version lower, but you can try the latest first. If you get, probably usually you get an error 543 if the version is not compatible. You can try a lower version. So let me try 3.8. Then for the root application, I want the root application to be the same location I have uploaded the files, this one. Once I do that, I select the subdomain from this section, either the subdomain or the domain, whatever you are using. So once you do that, leave the rest as blank, then click on create. Give it some few seconds to create the application. Alright, it has been created. So navigate back, reload. Getting this success message brings you closer to deploying your application. If you get an error 543, delete this application, delete it, recreate it using a lower version. If you try all the versions and you still get an error 543, please talk to your hosting provider. Alright, so the next thing will be accessing the terminal. Let's access the terminal. I've opened terminal on a new tab. So there is this link. So this link is the virtual environment that has been created for this particular project. So let's paste that in that section. So whatever dependency we install, they will be installed specifically for this particular subdomain here. So we need to do something here. So remember, when creating the Python, or rather the Django project, we named it online tutorials. We have it here. So this name, we need to take note of this name. We can even copy that. Then there is this file that has been generated here, passenger dot or rather underscore WSGI. Select that, then edit. Confirm edit. So whatever file you, or rather whatever code you are seeing here is what we see here. It works. So let's remove that. Then from the name of the Django project dot WSGI import application. So just note this line, whatever varies is just the name of the Django project. Everything else remains as constant. So from online tutorials.wsgi import application. So if you created a name, a project by the name ABCD, just include that in this section. The rest remains as it is. Then save. Once you do that, navigate back to this section. Remember, we have the dependencies of this project. So if you try accessing your domain and now, you probably get an error 500. Let us restart that. Should give an error 500 because we haven't installed the dependencies yet. So let's do that here. So in this file, in the requirement.txt file, we have a number of dependencies. So the way to install them, it's pip install, then add an r, another -r, then requirements.txt, then enter. So let's give them a minute for it to complete. All right, we're seeing some errors. That's okay, and it's because the current version of pip is not the latest. So all we need to do, let us first of all update the version of pip by running this command. Then we rerun the command to install the dependencies, and we see that all the dependencies have been installed successfully without an error. So let's come back here to our Python application, then restart. Once you do that, let's come back here and reload. Alright, we go to the next stage. So we are told invalid HTTP host, invalid HTTP host header. So we need to add this one to the allowed host. So let's come back to our files. Then the name of the project, we have this settings.py file. Click on edit, confirm edit. Then we have this allowed host here, so we can add that. Then we also need to confirm www dot that is present. Save. Once you save, you can reload or restart your app. Proceed to this section, then reload as well. And you are getting that error because in the settings.py file, debug mode is set to true. So if you don't want to show such specific errors, you need to set it to false, and it's recommended that the debug mode should be set to false in production. So we have our project. This is the project that we have been viewing locally. We have that. We click on contact, takes us to contact page. You can see it here. We click on contact again, it's working. Click on the icon back home, and it's working as expected. So for the other tabs, about our services, those may not work as we expect because we never worked on that, and we gave it as part of your assignment to check on that. So let me just do something quickly. We have some 3 projects. We can add another project. All right, it's taking off. So probably that's an issue with browser cache. All right, something is not in order with the right. There is a command I'm almost forgetting. So once you are done with the installation of the dependencies, you need to run this command: python manage.py correct static. All right, I hope should work now. Let us start our application. Let me check. Let's see. So from this section, we see that the server is trying to fetch from this path: static admin.js. So let me just check if we have such a, let me see, static assets. So we are missing on that. So let me show you a workaround to that. Let's come to assets, then copy this admin to the static folder. So let's copy that, let's see if it works for us. Still not working. Let me see. Stop. All right, let's start the app again. All right. Static admin. All right, shows that some of the static files are not working as expected. Let me see. Static admin JS static. We have static admin JS. All right, it seems not to work, but I'll work on that, guys. I'll work on that and ensure that we are able to access the admin interface as expected. All right, so guys, I don't want to keep you waiting as I troubleshoot that, because I see we are 30 minutes past the hour. So I'll ensure to resolve this, upload these to either GitHub or any other repository, and share the code with you guys. So that should mark the end of this training, unless somebody has a question. Yes, Vincent. So you as a developer, you see, for the work of the hosting provider is just to sell you the hosting space. So it's now for you to have the skills to deploy the website, and you see, for the errors that we are facing, it's for you to solve them as well. Yes, so then when it comes to the domain provider and the hosting, this could be one company. Alternatively, somebody may buy their hosting with company A and purchase their domain with company B. But the ball stops at you. It's for you to know how to deploy your own website or other web application. Yes. Yes, Vincent. Well, I didn't get that question correctly. Would you please reframe that? Mm-hmm. 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 Oh, all right, Vincent. So let me just make a comment. For now, on this project, we are using this database. There is a small database here called SQLite 3, right? So there we have other database solutions that we can configure. So we have Postgres, SQL, and MySQL. These are available on this shared hosting. Postgres. We have it here, and we also have MySQL database. So basically, if you save it, if you happen to create a MySQL database, you can be able to view the data in PHP my admin. So for this case, we just use the default database. So basically, there is this code. There is this code here that defines whatever database you want to use. So in case you need to use a different database, you can check on the documentation on how to use Postgres and MySQL database. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Vincent. So how about the other guys? How was the session? Have you gotten it right? Remember, it's the end of the this training session. Yes, please, I'm getting you. Well, we just do it as an affiliate program. Basically, whatever cPanel you saw, that's my personal cPanel where I host my websites, my domains, and my subdomains. So that's why we recommended, if you wish to purchase a hosting service, we recommended the hosting service to use. We gave the links. You saw them when I was. Yes, you can just basically we host on our website. Yes. All right. Anyone else? Yes, please. Sorry. Okay. What exactly do you want to? You see, for when developing the website, we were doing it locally, and it was hosted on our local server. So the challenge was you want to host it on a local server and probably share the link with somebody who is far from you. Mm-hmm. Well, if they have a server, and the server is connected to the internet, there are those local servers that they just use to access their web applications using their internet locally within the office. So for such kind of server, the server needs to be connected to the internet. That is, if they want the web application to be available on the internet. But if it's for office use, then that can work. But then, now that the server may be a Windows server or any Linux server, you may need to install the necessary dependencies for it to be able to support Python applications. Yes. Did I answer your question? Okay, all right. Then another thing, if you are developing your now that we are developing our websites locally, there is an option that you can use to share with a colleague. Maybe they just want to confirm how your project looks and how it works. There is something called ngrok. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of this. So with my Rocco project, running on port 8000, I can be able to share. Once I run, let me just show you guys. We have python manage.py, then I can run it on this address. So you can use ngrok to tunnel your localhost web application, and it will be accessible online, but then it's for a limited time span. After some time it gets disconnected. So if I were to share with you guys, I would share this link, copy link address, and you could probably try accessing it from your end. So though this is for a short time span, just for a short time span, after which it gets disconnected. So anyone else with a question? Yes, please. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what we are talking about, the form that I created is available for any website viewer, but if this client in quotes is probably the owner of the website, then you can equally give them the access to the admin interface. You can create an account for them. If for instance you want to remain as the main administrator, you can do exactly that. This is the main admin, then I can create another user and give them the privileges. Alternatively, there is another way of doing what, let me see. For instance, we want to only allow users who are logged in to access this form. There are some decorators that we add, so that if any user tries accessing this the view, the URL to this view, and they are not authenticated, they are first redirected to log in first or create an account, after which they can be able to submit a post or rather this form. This usually happens in I'm not sure if you have ever searched for something online, especially blogs, where you get the solution, then you are being told you first of all need to log in for you to leave a comment. Yes, so you can implement the same, where either you add a decorator. You can search of let me Django login decorators, login required. Let me see. So you can search for this. Alternatively, in your HTML file, there is this, let me show you, button. If I think there is something we can talk of. If request dot user is authenticated, request dot user, let me see if it works. But there is something like this, whereby the user can view the form. If they are authenticated, they can the button, the submit button, is active. Otherwise, it's not there. So you can do something like this. I'm not sure if that works as we expect, but there are several ways of achieving that. not sure if it will work, so let me see. I trust you are getting my logic, eh? So I'm not sure if it answers your question or you needed something more. Should work. All right. I think this doesn't work for now, but it's something like this. There is a way that you check if the user is authenticated. Then you can show them the button or deny them access to that button. So there are several ways of achieving that, Sandy. All right, thank you. Any other question? Okay, perfect. So how about the others? How about the other guys? So I trust this training session has taught you quite a number of concepts. If you had not started with coding, I'm sure you now know where to start. And there is a language called Django that you can take to build a website backend. You just have to start somewhere, and we already gave you a start. Just like they say that the tutor will give you a percentage of what you need to know, then the rest will be part of your responsibility to dig in and get the concepts right. The good thing with coding is that you don't cram concepts, but you practice until you become perfect in it. Every time you can think of a project, think of a blog post, or rather a blog website, an e-commerce website. Just try making one. Even if you won't deliver the best project ever, by the time you are going to have half of the project, you will have gained a number of new skills. So keep practicing, guys, and don't give up in coding. That is the last thing you should do. Giving up simply because some concepts are hard, others are not making sense. Keep practicing. Join some communities, join such online training that we have, and you'll just get it right at some point. So thank you. I'm very grateful for you guys showing up and staying up. We actually went past the time that we intended to, only that we couldn't have worked faster than we did. We at least maintained our pace so that we could get all the concepts right. So thank you guys, and I wish you well in your coding journey. So before I forget, all right, thank you, Vincent. Before I forget, this is the channel where we are going. Okay, perfect. I'm grateful, Vincent. So this is where we are going to be posting our tutorials. Ensure to like our channel, subscribe, be liking the videos that we post, and leaving a comment. Then for those who wish to get a certificate, just sign up for this course and take the exam. Also leave a feedback after you complete the exam. You can easily scroll to this section and you'll get a download link to your certificate. Also remember to leave a feedback, even if you are not you don't intend to complete the exam, but you can just check through the few questions that we have here, just to give you an image of the few concepts that we have covered. After that, leave a feedback and we will be grateful. So watch out for other training sessions that we will have. Thank you and thank you very much guys. Right. Karibu sana na mkuwe na usiku mwema.